Today's the day I put the headers on the Civic. It's warming up now. I'm about to go to the shop. I'm trying out new camera settings, so hopefully the footage looks a little better.
Put a stack on it, huh? Put a Mac on it, huh? And a black on it, huh? Put the tracks on it, huh? And a black on them, huh? And we back on them, huh? On a map on them, huh? Got a stack on it, huh? And a stack on it, huh? Put a stacks on it, huh? Put it for backs on it, huh? To the max on it, huh? And the backs on it, huh? Number backs on it, huh? On the decks on it, huh? On the backs on it, huh? Big up, dream too big to imagine.
I'm gonna jack it up now, take the headers off that's on it. It has DC Sport headers on it, and then I'm gonna put these on it. The reason I'm taking them off is because the previous owner had a cat welded into them, and I just want to go catless to match the same exact setup that came off the orange one. So I'm waiting to get my motor and everything so I can take the intake manifold off that and put it in this, just the stock intake manifold, so I can eliminate the supercharger, because I'm not a huge fan of the supercharger. I prefer turbos. I might turbo it in the future, but for now I just want stock intake, and then just intake and header and cat back. But yeah, because that orange one felt really rowdy and is just a simple bolt-on, so that's the setup I'm going for on this one. So removing this will be another video but today's video is removing the headers, which I'm gonna start taking all the stuff apart now. You can tell somebody's been in here before because all these clips are missing, and this is not clipped back in properly on both sides. I just threw it back together. Let's see what else is missing. All right, I found issue number 2. So this is the OEM connecting point, and then right here I think there's like a Y that Y is to this one piece, but right here this one snapped off, and I assume this one did too, and they put this piece in there and just left this one disconnected. And it had no washer fluid in it at all, but if it did, only one side would work. And then the heat shield that goes right here is actually already removed. It's already missing. I didn't notice that. Wow. Wiring goes right here. I don't even know what that's for. Yeah, this is gonna be fun to putting it back to stock. That goes in there. I don't know, I'll have to look through everything, but yeah, it's gonna be fun to put it back and doing it right, so everything's done perfect. Looks like they might have been Cerakoted or something, so that's a positive. And so I started looking at everything, and I found this hard line, and I was like, man, what is that going to? So I looked and tracing it back, tracing it back, tracing it back. Where'd it go? Here it is. And it goes to right there. You can kind of see it. There you go. That's the hard line for the boost gauge, and they put it to a vacuum line, but they use like a hard line for it, and they smeared like RTV on it and zip tied it. Oh my god. It has an AFR gauge as well, so I'm assuming that's down there. I wonder how they ran all that. But yeah, I thought I was under the impression of like a shop did all this, but now I'm gonna hope a shopping and do all this. I unbolted the headers, there they are. They've definitely been Cerakoted because like I just pulled it from the garage, as you guys saw, and I can touch them and they're not hot at all. I didn't burn myself or anything. I took the shield, the carbon fiber cover off of here because I didn't want to mess it up. This supercharger looks like it wasn't installed for long, and the car only has 60,000 miles, so yeah, I doubt it has any time on it. It's still on the base map. That's why I'm taking it off, because it needs a tune, and I don't really like the supercharger setup a lot. I prefer the naturally aspirated or turbo setup on these, so taking the supercharger off, get some money back for that. And if I either had to get it tuned, I'd rather get it tuned when I put the naturally aspirated parts on, because in the future I would definitely take the supercharger off anyways and have to get it tuned again, so it would just be money wasted. I think I'm gonna do the battery tray on here because I want to run that password JDM intake. I don't want to, but it's shown to heat soak less than others, and it's made out of carbon fiber, so it doesn't really get hot. And I'd rather it be right here than back there right next to the exhaust manifold. So yeah, I would think I'm gonna go with that intake, and it looks funny. This flange has a good amount of like exhaust RTV in it. That's fine. Here's secondary. Here, that's AFR, it looks like. That's definitely AFR. So I guess they're not using the secondary O2 sensor. That looks like it was rusty, so they coated it. There's really no other rust. Here's the cat. Here's the primary O2 sensor. The cat looks pretty good. So yeah, I guess they just deleted secondary O2 sensor, or they wired the AFR to the ECU. No leaks under it. Really clean. It sucks that I'm gonna have to replace this mount. I thought it was already upgraded. I have a mount for it. It's just a pain to do. I'm gonna take the O2 sensors out. I'm gonna take these bolts off, which are rusty. And then I'm gonna drop it. The rest of the exhaust, it's a 2.5 inch. 2.5 inch all the way back. It just has one vibrant muffler, but it sounds pretty good. So here's the header out of the car. You can see it's definitely been coated and then rusting a little bit. That's just surface rust. There's the cat welded on. Here's what's left of the exhaust gasket. They seem to be in pretty good shape though. And they sounded good. It was just, I wanted the same exact setup out of the orange one basically. So they're out now. I'm gonna be selling them. So if anybody wants them, shoot me a message. Gotta go to AutoZone to get some gas station. So I'm gonna take this one. Put some miles on this. See how it's driving. So I got a gasket that goes from this adapter to the catback. And I got a manifold gasket because the other one showed where it was leaking through a little bit right here. So I got one just to have a new one in there. Now I gotta clean this flange. This has a donut gasket, so that doesn't really need to be cleaned. The previous owner of the one on the orange car who had this exhaust in, he never put a gasket in here, so for like probably 50,000 miles or something, it was just leaking really bad right there. but then I put a S2000 gasket in it that I had lying around, and that sealed it, so that's what I'm gonna use. Clean this flange with this. The flange is clean now. The gasket has a firing ring in the middle, so it should seal no problem. So I don't really have to get everything, but I'm probably gonna use high temp RTV on the other side because the catback side is pretty rough. So I definitely want it to have a good seal. I used the drill on it with the brush on the end, and it cleaned with the flange pretty well. So I'm not gonna use RTV, just try the gasket and it should be fine. So I just attached the adapter. This is frozen. I guess I could try a strip bolt socket because it's stripped. Even before I messed with it, it was already stripped, and I tried to hammer on sockets, nothing helped. I'm just gonna eliminate the secondary O2 sensor since I can't run one, and then if anything I'll get this chopped off and get another bung welded on or something. These threads are fine, but I had to clean the threads on the primary O2 sensor because that one was in rough shape after it came out. But it's ready to go in now, so I'm gonna slide it under and wrestle it in there. Got the headers torqued down on the head. I think I have to extend the O2 sensor down there, so I'm gonna have to do that. But look what I found. Nice little rat's nest in here. I can see a cabin filter. That looks pretty clean considering there's a rat's nest right there. Have to vacuum that out. I just extended the O2. I wrapped it up with electrical tape. This should give me enough, so now they can reach the connector. Once I put it in the exhaust, I guess it pushes it back about, I'd say like 4 inches or so, 5 inches. So this is about 8, maybe 9 inches. So I should have more than enough. I'm gonna put some anti-seize on this, and then I'm gonna throw it in there, make sure it works and everything, and I'll start buttoning it up. No exhaust leaks. Time to button everything up and put it back on the ground. I fixed this by adding a vacuum tee right there. So now at least I'll have both nozzles whenever I need them. So the car's all buttoned up now. I drove it yesterday. There's no exhaust leaks or anything. I really like the sound of this exhaust, and I like the look of it too. It fills the spot pretty good. The full race one, it was like a triangle and it looked ugly in this spot. It is cracking the paint here. I wish they put it a little lower, but I can space it out with a longer hanger or something. That's all the modifications for now for this car. Hopefully next week I'll be taking the supercharger off, but for my next video, it involves this. I got a OEM cat for the Evo. This is the last piece I need. I have the full cat back right there actually. So I'm gonna be throwing that in, and then I should get my ECU back. So at the end of that video I should be able to start it, hopefully. So yeah, if you wanna see Evo content, it's coming up next video, starting now actually. But for the Civic, this will definitely be back probably next week, maybe even sooner.
We all the same, we all the same. Money ain't real, time